Welcome to Cooking with Saucy Sean's Fine Eats, where we make real food for real people. Remember, when you're cooking something, if it doesn't turn out perfectly and look perfectly, you can probably still eat it. That's important. Today we're making brownies. I call these Carmen's Fabulous Brownies because I got the recipe from Carmen, who got it from an old friend years and years and years ago, so it's a pretty old recipe and they actually turn out really good as long as you don't overcook them. We're going to get these going and we're going to get this made up. So we're going to start with, I got to look over here because where my recipe is and it's not all up here today. We're going to start with 3/4 of a cup of melted butter. So I just melted that right in the microwave. We're going to add in 1.5 cups of sugar. Just plain old white sugar. Vanilla extract is going to be 1.5 teaspoons. Let's see what's left in here. There's one, and we'll go over here for the other half. So we're going to take that and we're going to stir that all together. This recipe can almost be done entirely by hand. Don't have to worry about mixers. Really easy to do. This is going to make a 9 by 13 inch size brownie, so it's a nice big brownie. You can cut it down and make it smaller, but why would we do that? Now we're going to add 3 eggs. Just going to beat them in there. So I'm just using a nice stainless steel spoon. Really easy. A mixing bowl. Anyone can do this. It's so easy. Well, almost anyone. If you don't have arms, it might be hard. But people without arms are pretty talented at doing other things. So after we beat the eggs, we're going to stir together the dry ingredients beyond the sugar. So we got 3/4 cup of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. Oh yeah, I love cocoa powder. We'll just mix all that up well in the bowl here. And we're going to dump it into the wet stuff and mix it all up. Try not to scoot it out the bowl like I just did. So we just get that mixed up well. Then we're going to take our 9 by 13 pan, some cooking spray. Just going to give it a good spray. There we go. I'm going to pour this in here. Now, one thing about brownies, they're not like a cake where they're meant to be thick. Brownies tend to be a bit thinner, like thin, not runny. So it spreads out a bit more. Just going to take that, spread this out evenly in here. We've got our oven already preheated to 350 degrees. That'll work. And we're going to cook it for about 20 to 25 minutes. This recipe, you want to watch for it. Basically, when it starts getting near that time, watch for it to start to peel away from the edges a bit. And that's when it's done. Really simple stuff. So after we bake this brownie, we're going to cool it on a wire rack. And then we're going to frost it with a creamy brownie frosting, which is really good. Goes really good on the brownie. You can serve this just as a little square. You can serve it with ice cream. Just comes out really great, and I think you'll like it. So 350 degrees, 20 to 25 minutes, and we'll be back at you in a bit. So we can see here we brought our brownie out of the oven. I forgot to turn the timer off. It was in for about the 25 minutes, 24 minutes. It actually was a little bit long. You can see it's starting to get a bit darker on the edge here, but you can also see where it started to peel away from the edge. I think it works better in a metal pan than the glass one for that, but still we're just going to put that aside. We've got it on a wire rack. Going to let that cool for half an hour to an hour, and then we're going to put the frosting on it, which we'll be making in a few minutes. So now we're going to make our creamy brownie frosting. This goes great on the brownies we just made, and we're looking forward to having you like this. So, pretty simple. We're going to take 1/4 cup of melted butter. We're going to put it in our dish here. We're going to take 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, add it in. 1.5 cups of ice and sugar. There's a cup. And There's a half cup of ice and sugar. We need some light corn syrup or honey. We need about 25 milliliters of that. So that's a tablespoon and about 2/3 of a tablespoon. Got a bit much. That's okay because you can still eat it. Now, we're going to put that over here. We're also going to add in a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now again, you can do this in a mixer if you want. I'm going to try doing it by hand. I've never done this by hand. We're going to see how it turns out. We're also going to have to add in somewhere between 15 and, a tablespoon or 2 of water or milk just to help moisturize it and turn it into something besides what it's going to become without it. You want to use cold water or milk, or you could use cream if you want. Doesn't really matter. Just going to stir this up. We're going to add in our first tablespoon of cold water. There we go. You gotta be really careful making icing and frosting and stuff that you don't get too much moisture in it, but you want to have enough. It's always a fine balance, I find. Oh yeah, this is mixing up great. Get everything mixed in there. Get the lumps out. Not just the ones in my head. That's a little bit stiff still, so we're going to add a little bit more water. I'm going to add the second tablespoon, just a full one. There we go. It's going to make it a little bit smoother, runnier. There we go. Now that's ready to go on to our brownie as soon as the brownie is cooled. And we're going to cover it until then. That's about the right consistency. It's just on the edge of being a bit too thick still, so you can always mix a little more water into it, but that's the gist of it. So when we're ready to ice, we'll show you how we ice it, frost it, whatever you want to call it, and then we'll be able to try it. That's the best part. Okay, so we got our brownie all done, we got our frosting all done. Oh, this thickened up. As it sat for a bit, it's thickened up. So I'm just going to add a little bit of cold water to it, just a smidgen. Just to... There we go. So we're going to drape it across our brownie here. Time for the spatula. So why are they called brownies? Does anybody know? Seriously, does anybody know why they're called brownies? Because I have no idea.
They're brown.
They're brown? There you go, sir.
Mmm.
Okay, we just spread that out. This is a bit big of an icing knife to be using, but it'll work. Now these brownies I have successfully made vegan using egg replacer, and gluten-free and vegan at the same time using a gluten-free flour. The flour I like the most for that is Bob's. I don't like the Cloud 9 for this because it's too grainy. Although the Namaste I tried a little while ago for my carrot cake, that turned out pretty good. I was suitably impressed with it. So I got a few different options for gluten-free, but it does turn out really well when you do that. It's a great recipe to experiment with that on. There we go, there's our brownie. Now you can serve this in tiny little squares, you can serve this in bigger chunks with ice cream or by itself. It turns out really well. It goes great with vanilla ice cream. It goes better with chocolate ice cream. More chocolate. Yes, I like chocolate. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Like our videos, thumbs up it, subscribe to my channel, please, pretty please. That would really be nice. And let me know if you try this recipe, how it turns out. Okay, so I'm just going to cut a chunk out of here. Probably get about 24 pieces out of this if you cut it right. Really good. You should try it sometime. Have yourselves a great day. I will. I've got chocolate. Talk to you later. This is just plain old good family brownies, okay?